Yesterday, we learned the 4 kinds of reasoning, which are the 4 principles we studied in the Essentials for Purifying the Mind. The vipassana of the 6 investigations covers multiple perspectives. The vipassana of the 4 natures, 6 investigations, and 3 doorways are all analytical meditations. In general, there are 2 kinds of meditation, the analytical meditation of the pandita, scholar, and the non-analytical or direct meditation of the kusulu, yogi. The analytical meditation of the pandita involves examining and analysing something thoroughly until a very clear understanding is developed. The Essentials for Purifying the Mind, which we have been studying, uses this method. Through this approach, one gains a definite and lasting understanding without the danger of making errors. In this approach, all possibilities of error are examined clearly, leading to complete certainty about the correct path. This is what we previously referred to as the system based on gradual teachings. However, the pandita path takes a long time. The kusulu meditation develops from knowing how to meditate and then meditating extensively. This method is much faster, but there is a danger of going astray and making mistakes. In this second approach, one practices directly according to the pith instructions without comprehensively studying the teachings or analysing phenomena. The teacher transmits the pith instructions directly to the disciple without extensive elaboration. Following this approach requires staying close to the teacher, never departing even a single step. Otherwise, one will encounter problems. Why? Because one knows only the pith instructions but does not comprehend the teachings thoroughly. One can only grasp the surface and is therefore prone to deviating from the path and making mistakes. So, one usually begins by examining and analysing the reasons and proofs to develop a definite understanding. As one becomes familiar with this meditation and develops an insight, one begins the kusulu meditation. It is best to combine these 2 approaches. This is the correct and typical way of practice. If you have already attained realization in past lives, you may not need to study the teachings extensively. In that case, upon hearing the teachings, you immediately realize them without needing much explanation. As you have already practiced the teachings and attained realization in past lives, you are familiar with the path. Therefore, you don't need to study, examine, or analyze the teachings comprehensively. With just a little guidance in this life, you will not go astray. The 6th patriarch is such an example. Don't think that he did not understand the teachings. Texts describe this clearly, and I have mentioned it before. Initially, he renounced worldly life and practiced at the 6th Patriarch Temple, where he expounded the Nirvana Sutra. Someone asked him, "Please explain the sutra to me." He replied, "I am illiterate." The person asked, "If you are illiterate, how can you explain it?" The 6th Patriarch said, "Even though I am illiterate, I can explain the sutra. Read it to me, and I will explain." At that time, he had not yet visited the 5th Patriarch, So don't assume that he went to the fifth patriarch, pounded rice for 8 months, and then suddenly became enlightened. That would be impossible. Some people foolishly imitate him, thinking, since the sixth patriarch attained enlightenment by pounding rice, I will do the same and see if I can awaken after doing kitchen work for 8 months. If one simply copies his actions without understanding the essence, one will just become a dummy after 8 months. Some people are unaware of what the sixth patriarch had done before and only notice that he became enlightened after pounding rice for 8 months. Of course, the fifth patriarch also taught him and confirmed his realization. As the sixth patriarch himself also said, he was already enlightened and only needed the final confirmation from his teacher. After that, he spoke those famous words. For example, in analytical meditation on selflessness, one tries to identify the self, but finds that it does not exist internally, externally, or in between. One focuses the mind on this object, just as one rests the mind on the in and out breath in samatha meditation. Similarly, when resting on the absence of self, the mind focuses one-pointedly on it and rests. From this, one develops certainty in non-self. This method is the same as that used in samatha meditation, so it is called analytical meditation on non-self. When studying the essentials for purifying the mind, we use this method, listening to the teachings over and over again and abiding in meditation on non-self. Analytic meditation is not just hearing, receiving, and contemplating the teachings. It involves uniting the definite insight one has gained with samatha meditation. First, listen to and reflect on the teachings. Then, attain realization through repeated practice. In samatha meditation, one focuses the mind on breathing or on no object whatsoever. Here, one joins the definite knowledge, firm understanding, gained through analytic deduction with the mental stability of samatha, meditating on the union of these two. This is what is meant by analytic meditation. It is called the union of samatha and vipassana. The direct, non-analytical meditation is called the kusulu meditation in Sanskrit. It refers to yogi-style meditation. This was translated as drome in Tibetan, which means without complication, or being very simple, without scholarly analysis or study. The mind is relaxed without applying analysis. So, it just rests in its nature. In the Sutra tradition, there are some non-analytic meditations, but this tradition mostly uses analytic meditation. Some here means very few. So, we should first engage in analytic meditation. After attaining realization, when repeating a meditation topic, analysis is no longer needed, just as one maintains one's spiritual state after enlightenment. When maintaining the awakened state, one uses the second type of meditation. There is no need to analyze the meditation topic again because one has already realized it. Even after enlightenment, one still needs to maintain the state through practice. The second approach is maintenance, without further analysis. It is simple. without complication. Sometimes, by simply relaxing the mind, one can naturally enter that state. If one has entered it before, one knows how to enter it again, and can move in and out freely. Bodhisattvas also practice in this way. While they have attained enlightenment, they are not as perfect as the Buddha. Hence, they can only enter non-discriminating wisdom during meditation, not constantly in daily life. For example, first Burmi Bodhisattvas can only enter that state in meditation. But it doesn't matter, because after enlightenment, they see the reality of all phenomena. They don't need to meditate all the time. They can benefit sentient beings. When there is free time at night, they can meditate. The masters in the past lived this way, meditating at night and benefiting beings during the day, with little sleep. Even while resting, they were in meditation. We should combine these two approaches of meditation. Clinging to either one is wrong. This book becomes increasingly important in the later sections, introducing many esoteric teachings. However, it is still essential to understand the earlier teachings. Otherwise, studying the advanced content will be of little use.